Dude, thank you so much for talking with me again. It's a pleasure to chat, again.
Of
Um,
course.
I really dug the film, and I want to say congratulations to you on it because I've seen the buzz online. I see a lot of people digging it. Um, yeah, so congratulations on that. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to see my review yet.
I have not
Um,
got to see it. It's a positive review.
yes, it is. You posted it on Instagram, so I guess
Oh,
you were
I
just
saw that. Yeah, I actually did see it. My bad. I've been kind of inundated by Dear Kelly promo for like the last 2 weeks, so I've kind of had my head in the sand as far as specifics goes.
no, that's fine. That's fine. And I like I said, I know you're everything else is so much going on in California and the rest of the nation right now, so I
Right, right.
don't blame you.
Yeah.
Um, now my first question for you is just really for those who have not heard of the film or have no idea what it's about, can you just give like a quick rundown of
Yeah.
how it came to be and like I said, what it's about?
So, Dear Kelly is a character profile that revolves around the life and times of a man named Kelly Johnson, aka Kelly J. Patriot, a recently divorced father of three from Huntington Beach, California, who I first met at the White Lives Matter rally in 2021. He was approaching a bloodthirsty army of hostiles with four flags in hand and loudly proclaimed, Kobe Bryant was assassinated by the Clintons, which piqued my interest. But I talked to him after, and he let me in on a little secret, which is that before politics came into the picture, he had a boogeyman way before the pedophile Epstein, Clinton, Soros cabal, and his name was Bill Joyner, who he claims was a predatory lender who set a chain of events into motion to get his house and life taken away from him. So this is a semi-retrospective piece about what factors led to Kelly's radicalization, as told through the lens of his family and Kelly himself.
And aside from it being a very, I think, spot on portrait of modern America, I think you knocked it out of the park with your radicalization theory.
Thank you,
Uh,
bro.
I had to rewatch it a couple of times. I'm so glad you posted it to YouTube as its own thing because now I have something to point to whenever I'm like, this
Yeah.
is what's going on in America right now.
Fuck yeah.
It's a real good summation about like those who succumb to hateful ideologies, how they succumb to it.
Mhm.
You've been doing this for years. I've been following you for years. I've seen you speak to so many different people and go to so many different places. How long have you been formulating that theory?
I mean, it kind of started back in the day, like at the Flat Earth Conference. Like, I interviewed probably six different people, and when I would post the interview with them, I had a lot of comments being like, "Yo, this is my brother. He got hurt in a workplace accident. He got kicked out of his house, and like, I haven't seen him in years." And it happened a couple different times at different conspiracy events where I would talk to somebody, and then their friends and family would be like, "Oh my God, we haven't seen Dave in fucking, since the accident or since the foreclosure or the eviction or the divorce or whatever, any type of traumatic life event that somehow collapsed our support system." And so I kind of had that in the back of my head for a long time, but because I was traveling so fast, I would just meet people and then I would go on to the next thing. So I wasn't able to like fully dive deep into, what actually happened in some of these people's lives way before they grasped onto reactionary politics. So like whenever Kelly opened up about Bill Joyner, I already had that theory in the back of my head and it just kind of all came rushing to me. I was like, "Oh, this is what I was looking for."
That is crazy. That and it's so wild that you say that because a lot of the times, and it's even exemplified by Kelly in the movie that you have all these family members that come out and say, "Oh, so this is what he's been doing." Even his kids that kind of knew what he was doing, they
Yeah.
didn't know the extent or how deep he really was down the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
So
he was all the way there. And what's interesting is that I didn't talk too much about like what kind of media he actually consumed because I wanted to like make it more applicable across the board to people who have uncles or dads or moms like that. But he was like a kind of obscure podcast called Scott McCabe's Patriot Street Fighter, which is on a satellite radio station out of Missouri called Bards FM. So that shirt that he has that says "Save the Kids" in all those scenes, that is a T-shirt that was sold by the host of that podcast. But I left that out because I was like, I don't want someone to say like, "Oh, I don't relate to this because my dad watched InfoWars and Fox News." So I just kind of left that up to the viewer's interpretation.
that brings up an interesting question about like editorial decisions here.
Yeah.
How did you decide? Because I mean, there are I don't want to say cameo, but for lack of a better word, there's some cameos from some very well known far right
Yeah.
leaders or conspiracy theorists, whatever you want to call them. How did you go about? And I had the same question with This Place Rules that you spoke to like in the leader of the Proud Boys,
Yeah.
right? Like, how do you balance like I want to hear what they have to say, but I don't want to platform them. Like, how
Well,
do you deal with that?
it's a pretty easy decision for me to make. So the whole idea of platforming problematic individuals that's like embraced by the neoliberal establishment as being a big no-no. I understand that if you're plucking somebody from obscurity and you're making them famous. For example, if there was a neo-Nazi recruitment organization that had like 10 members in Orange County in California, and I made a video called like the KKK of Orange County, even if I was ridiculing them, if I got a million views, I'm willing to bet you 1,000 people will be like, you know what? Fuck Andrew's coverage. I want to join these guys and see what it's really about. So, from a recruitment capacity for a small organization or a fringe online figure, I understand leaving them in obscurity and not pulling them into my, mainstream web or whatever. But for somebody who's already famous and notable, I think that it's totally fine to have them on your platform, even if they are quote unquote problematic. Like Enrique Tarrio, he's the leader of the Proud Boys. Everybody knows what the Proud Boys are. I'm not going to be informing anybody about the group that doesn't already know. Everybody knows about January 6th. When it comes to Alex Jones, he's like an American icon of the right wing and of the libertarian crowd. So I think that it's bizarre when people say that, but I do think that that is an okay and a fair argument if it's somebody small time that's fucked up. Yeah.
Very well said. And thank you for responding to that. Now, you held a lot of screenings of this movie leading up to its, I guess, wide release for
Yeah.
$5.55, right?
Yeah.
People
Thank
can
you.
get it right now. Um, I know your last film also released in January. I think you wanted it to coincide with the anniversary of the insurrection. This one was released just 5 days before the inauguration. Why now? Was there any sort of like political motivation behind its release? Like, or am I just reading too into it?
I think that not really political motivation, but I think that Dear Kelly is very much a portrait of the 2021 to 2024 era. It's a portrait of the far right during the Biden years. And I just feel like we're entering a new era where a lot of that's going to be forgotten. And I wanted to kind of get it out there before the new presidency began to serve as a time capsule. I wanted it to live during that timeline and not be something because there's so much more happening now. Like the border is the main thing right now. Like people aren't going to ever talk about Antifa and the Proud Boys and stuff again, really. I mean, that was a moment in time, and it's already in the rear view, and we're moving on to these newer topics.
I think you're absolutely right with that. We're having a different conversation about it than where we were like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
the film has a bunch of big twists towards the end. One of them is revealed right before the credits that you
Yeah.
got threatened with a lawsuit if you release the
Not
film.
it's I mean, and I was actually the lawsuit got filed. They threatened to waive the lawsuit got filed before the Dear Kelly tour. They said they would drop the lawsuit if we never released the film, destroyed all copies of it, and gave them one copy for analysis. So like, I mean, we took a risk by dropping it, but I wasn't about to let a lawsuit stop me from working and from dropping this film that I worked on for 4 years.
That's what I wanted to ask. Aside from like the time and effort that you spent on this, um, like can you even comment on like any further legal notices you've gotten from Bill Joyner since the
No,
release
I
of the
mean,
film?
I would comment. I'm not scared to, or I didn't do anything wrong, but I mean, it's still ongoing. I haven't heard anything from the judge, which I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess we'll see.
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
Now, one of my final questions for you is obviously, I think the film is a great conversation starter. And since President Trump took over, like a week and a half ago, I
Yeah.
think there's already been a rise in more division and divisive rhetoric than ever before. And I think that this film truly has the power to help both sides see how harmful echo chambers are. But
Definitely.
what do you hope that people take away from it?
I mean, I kind of made this movie mostly for progressives and leftists who have just dehumanized all of these Trump voters and don't see them as humans. And they have these ideas for a progressive revolution in a new society, but they're unable to figure out what to do with the 77 million people who voted for Trump. Most of them have suffered significant economic hardship at some point. Not all of them. There is rich people who want tax breaks who've had nothing go wrong, but a lot of people who voted for Trump were, conditioned by his rhetoric to believe that he's someone who cares about, the average working class American. And what are we going to do with those people? Just pretend they don't exist? So it's sort of a challenge to the utopian model set forth by progressives. And being from Seattle, not having grown up around anybody conservative, it was also a learning experience for me. Like I have more empathy in general than I did when the movie started production in 2021.
And I feel like I could say the same thing. Like, I feel like I have seen the other side of the tunnel. Not that
Mhm.
I'm, I'm not radicalized or anything, but I'm saying like I understand the viewpoints or how easy it is to fall into those echo chambers and like kind of see where Kelly is coming from.
Yeah.
The film's very empathetic in that regard.
Yeah, and the real message of the movie, there's many, but one of them is most people think they're doing the right thing. There's very few people who wake up and say, "I'm gonna mess the country up today." Everybody thinks they're the good guys, and that's part of the echo chamber problem. It used to be the bad guys would be like, "I'm a bad guy." You know what I mean? Like there was real villains back in the day. Now everyone's just like, "I'm a hero. I speak for the common man." Like nobody says they're like an elite oligarch who wants unions to be broken up.
This is true.
Yeah.
Now, my last question. I've seen your channel, so have millions of other people. You can literally make a movie about anything or anyone. What's next? Are we gonna get a biopic about Uncle Pill? Or what's going on?
No, I'm trying to get Pill on some hip hop podcasts right now, but that's kind of my mission. I don't know, like I definitely don't have any feature films on the horizon, but I have a couple things that I want to do for Channel 5. Like I want to do a series about lost and endangered languages in the US. I want to do a series about sovereignty and independence movements in different US territories or within the US itself. I'm interested in like different obscure mental health conditions like HPPD and like, out there phobias and because a lot of people talk about healthcare, and they use extreme examples of mental health care, like schizophrenia, bipolar, narcissistic. But I'm curious about like more specific mental health conditions, and just I got a lot of stuff going on, man. But I'm definitely not going to make another movie about QAnon people or anything.
Okay. All right. Well, I cannot wait to see what you do next. Andrew, thank you so much for making this movie. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey,
And
man,
yeah, congratulations on the buzz. And I cannot wait to see how much more this film grows in the future.
awesome, bro. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate your time, bro.
Take care.
Amen.
See ya.